I've been seeing a slogan quite a bit on like little kids' t-shirts and stuff that I'd sort of like to talk about today because while I think it comes from a place of good intentions, I don't think it's a helpful attitude to have. I'm referring to the autism is my superpower slogan. I mostly see it on little kids stuff, but I think it's an unintentionally damaging mindset, even if it comes from a place of good intentions. And I kind of want to talk about things I think would be better to say. So for me, I, I wasn't diagnosed until I was about 17 years old. It's in a different video. But I can see if I had been diagnosed as a kid and people were telling me it was a superpower, it wouldn't have helped me deal with it. And I like to use the example it's not quite the same, but there were adults in my life, not my parents, other adults who talked about how smart I was in a way that belittled other people and acting like I was sort of superior to other people, even some of my siblings, because I was smart. And as a kid, I didn't really understand the whole like nuance and subtext of what they were saying. I was just like, "Oh, I'm smart. That's cool." And like people think I'm cool because I'm smart. That's fun. And so I would parrot some of the things they would say and then not understand why it made people mad. It's like my younger siblings would get upset. And I understand now, looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, that wasn't okay. The way they were saying that wasn't okay in the slightest. But as a kid, all I saw was some people acting like it was cool that I was smart, and some people who seemed mad about it. And I can see now, like, they were upset about because of how those other people were saying and how they were sort of making me think about it. And my parents would try to sort of nip that in the bud, but it was still damaging. And so I think magnify that to the point of somebody calling, like somebody telling me, if somebody told me I had a superpower, I suspect that situation would have gotten much worse. Because, yeah, I would just go parroting that around, and I suspect people would have gotten upset, other little kids, if I'd just gone around talking about, I've got a superpower. They probably would have been upset. And that I couldn't necessarily blame them for doing so, but I don't think it would have, I suspect it would have damaged my relationships like the issue of intelligence did. And I think, too, it's on the smart track and sort of relating it to how I would have reacted to the superpower thing. There was stuff that was really hard, super basic stuff that I couldn't do, like putting on a jacket. I Some family friends had to show me a different way to put on a jacket because I couldn't figure out how to pull it around, get my hands in the sleeves, all that stuff. They had to a video demonstrating it would be a little bit weird, but I almost want to because it is kind of funny. And maybe if enough people are like struggling with helping their kids put on jackets, I'll put it up there. But basically what they would have me do is lay the jacket out flat on the floor and then just kind of lie down and wriggle into it. And it worked. it worked. I did that for a while. I don't remember exactly how long I was putting on jackets that way, but it took a while. And then one day I kind of figured out how to put it on normally, and that was that. But it was things like that, or tying my shoes. I still take a while to tie my shoes. I was in Velcro shoes long past the age most kids have already graduated to laces. And riding a bike was hard. It took me a long time to learn how to learn. I crashed and to learn how to ride. I crashed into bushes a lot more than um, most people I know have crashed into bushes on bicycles. So that was always fun. And so, my younger sister, who learned to ride at the same time as me, was riding proficiently long before I was. And like it's kind of funny now and it makes sense now, but at the time, because I didn't know why I had these coordination issues, it was like, well, if I'm as smart as everybody says I am, why is this so hard? Why is this super basic thing so hard? Like I see other people learning how to do this in a cinch. Why is this so difficult for me? And I think if people had been telling me, like, if I had been diagnosed and people were telling me autism was a superpower, I'd be like, well, what kind of superpower makes it so I can't do this super basic thing? I I don't think it would have stopped me from feeling embarrassed, and I don't think it would have stopped me feeling like, what's the matter with me that I can't do this thing? And on that note, I do think the slogan itself comes from a place of people not wanting their kids to feel like there's something wrong with them, and I think that's very admirable and a good instinct to have. Like, don't there's like a there's a line between destigmatizing and then sort of glorifying, because there are days when it does feel like a superpower. Like in the one of the happiness videos I was talking about, that I was the only one able to see the real penny in all the counterfeits just because the real one made me happy. Or times when people are struggling with a problem and I see a solution that nobody else had really picked up on and it fixes the problem. Those days are exciting and it makes me really happy, and on those days it does kind of feel like I have some kind of superpower. Those are less common than days where it feels like more of a struggle. Like I would say days where I feel embarrassed because of a faux pas I made during a conversation, or days where I get super anxious because it was like, wait, was there subtext there that I didn't see? Did I misinterpret that? Or days where days where just having a conversation makes me incredibly tired and unable to do anything for the rest of the day. Or days when I decide not to go to a thing with my friends because I know, oh, I want to hang out with my friends, but it wouldn't be good for me to do that right now. And I wouldn't have fun because I know I would just go into like freeze mode and be sort of catatonic for the entire time. That wouldn't be fun for anybody. So I'd say those kinds of situations happen more often than days where it feels like a superpower. Now, the days where it feels like a superpower make the occasions where it feels more like a disability easier. They kind of balance each other out. But neither of those days are as common as just normal days. I mean, it is my normal. I know what to do to make things easier for myself. I Most of the time it's like, yep, this is a thing, and here's the things I gotta be mindful of. And most of the time it's not that hard. I know for other people, I think there are more hard days than there are for me. I kind of I don't really know how to put this exactly. I know I'm level 1. I think the severity, if you want to call it that, is less for me than it is for some people, and I do want to acknowledge that. But yeah, most of the time I'm just normally going about my day. Doesn't really feel like a superpower, doesn't really feel like a disability. And so I think the superpower mindset, even though it comes from a good place, isn't going to fix underlying issues of whatever it might be for your kid, whether it's like loneliness, difficulty relating to other people, feeling like, wait, that conversation didn't work, but I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know that telling your kid they have a superpower is going to fix that. And I think, like I said, help your kid know there's nothing wrong with them. But one thing I think the superpower thing does is almost go to the opposite extreme where like I can see me as a kid taking it, interpreting it, and I almost think it makes it sound like there's something wrong with other people. And that's not really a good or fair thing either. So I think the best thing to do is just talk to your kid about like, yep, those people have gifts that you don't have. But you have gifts that they don't have, and maybe as you're older it'll get a little more clear. And let your kid know like you'll find your people, because I did. So, maybe even tell your kid like it's hard now, it will get easier, your world will grow, you'll meet people who are more like you and are and people who will like accept your quirks and not be weirded out by them, and people who will give you leeway. So it gets better. But I don't think the superpower thing is necessarily setting kids up to have good friendships. Which, so yeah, the whole like just emphasize everyone's brain is different, and that's part of what makes the world such an interesting, fun place to be. If everybody was the same, maybe it'd be easier, but it wouldn't be as fun, and we wouldn't get as far. I don't think innovation would happen as much if everybody was the same. So maybe just emphasizing the everyone has different gifts, and that's okay and that's wonderful, more than calling anything a superpower.